Re-injured. Well, full highlights of the Hawks in Indiana. Why don't we have playoff games like this here? Well, maybe we do. What, you thought the hockey season was over? That was just a brief interstitial period. And Eric's got your interstitial period right here. The latest on the song, Bridled or Unbridled on Saturday. Big unit, big trouble, big nerve problem on the field. Gracious, it's a real pitcher. Oh, and here's a shock. And here's another shock. Ooh, I caught an actual home run ball. I'm only the 38th guy on my block to do so. You heard about that song. Now, word to your mother.
Buy me some peanuts and some Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back.
And we'll meet the marketing executives who dreamt that one up on SportsCenter next.
Warm greetings. Welcome to the big show alongside tag team partner Keith Olbermann. I'm Dan Patrick.
Tonight, live from World Headquarters, Who Shot JR in San Francisco? They're not the Academy Award nominations, but we'll have the one for all the hockey trophies. And also tonight, the dangers of dancing with a chicken. But first, we're talking about who's not there while the guys who are there doing the job there up there.
It's the cruel world of the NBA postseason,
Sure.
Keith. Fans in the Indiana-Atlanta matchup expected to witness a trash-chatting dream teamer who figured to tip the balance in this series. Only that shooting guard was supposed to be Reggie Miller, not Steve Smith. Miller, who remains sidelined with an eye injury, admits it's tough watching Smith's antics, adding, quote, "I know he wouldn't be doing it if I were in there." Reggie, once again, an innocent bystander. First quarter, Hawks on a 9-2 run. Smith, the pull-up jumper. His only basket of the first half. He went 1 for 8 from the floor. Back the other way we go. Mark Jackson, the steal. And then working the give and go from Dale Davis. The give and then the go. Jackson, 8.3 steals in the first. Pacers then go on a 17-4 run. Rick Smits. Rick Smits! Indiana up by 3 after 1. Second quarter, Smits with authority. Pacers up 9 at halftime. In the third, it's Smith, not Smits. The tough jumper over Derek McKee. He went 4 of 5 from the floor in the third. Hawks trail by 4 after 3. Then it's Craig Elo, the steal. And Craig looking for contact. Craig not getting it. Grant Long there for the putback. Hawks within 2. Rick Smits in foul trouble, sporting his Detlef Shrimp hairdo. Hawks had a chance. Long misses the 3. Long again. Long. This time short. Leitner, no. Hawks missed 13 shots in a row. They went 7.5 minutes without a field goal. The Pacers would seal the deal. Derek McKee, and it counts. The Pacers win it and stave off elimination. 83-75 as they knock the series at 2 games apiece. Smits, 15 of his 17 points in the first half. Game 5 slated for Sunday in Indianapolis. Following the festivities, Mark Jackson spoke about his team's performance.
It says a lot about the character of this basketball team and this organization and coaching staff. And we gave ourselves another chance. And just like Lazarus rose from the dead, and here we go.
It seemed like today we got the edge. We got the rebounds that we needed. We got some loose balls that we needed. Where in the past, where they had won, it seemed like they got every rebound. They got every loose ball. So that was the difference.
That may be the first player to ever quote Lazarus in SportsCenter. He did say Lazarus. Yeah. This was not the way the Hawks wanted to perform in a possible series clincher at home. Atlanta went 12 for 37 in the first half on the floor. They shot 59% in the third quarter, and then the roof caved in on them. 15,482 on hand, 4,000 more than Monday's crowd. Thanks for shopping. The Rockets eyeing the clincher tonight at the Summit. Rockets up 2-1. Clyde the Glide collides with Nick Van Exel at midcourt. Not before a dish to Kenny Smith, an early 8-point lead. Lakers try to keep it close. Van Exel fakes, and then finds said Ceballos. Ceballos 11 in the first half. Lakers within 4. Second quarter winding down. Van Exel looking to Eldon Campbell. No. Rockets up 58-51. Admit, you thought that was going to go in because we showed it to you. So did I. 61-53, they have started the third quarter. Ceballos with 11, Eldon Campbell with 10. The Lakers need a win, trying to avoid the first-round elimination for the third time in the last 4 playoff appearances. We'll continue to sneak peeks at this score, full highlights and post-game interviews on the 2:30 edition of SportsCenter.
On the ice, before you presume that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to continue to run through the Florida Panthers the way they did the cross-state Tampa Bay Lightning, consider part of Philly's domination of the Ning came on the power play, where they scored 10 man advantage goals in 6 games. During the regular season against Florida, however, De Flyer had 16 power plays and scored once. Spectrum is green for Game 1. Actually, it's red for Van Beesbrook and orange for Hextall. Flyers a little slow early. They're on the power play. Hextall tries to clear it. Paul Laws sends it in. Ray Shepard misses it. Now watch this. Flyers are carrying the puck in. They decide they're going to line change. They lose the puck and they lose the scoreless tie. Stu Barnes puts the biscuit in the basket. Beats Hextall 1-0. Third period, still 1-0. Podine shoots. Van Beesbrook the save. Doesn't give him a rebound. Florida tight on defense throughout the game. Later in the third, still 1-0 Panthers. On the power play again. Stu Barnes. Dave Lowry. Dave Lowry brought to you by Stu Barnes. The Flyers are shut out at home for the first time in the playoffs since '86, and the power play is exactly decisive. The Flyers 0 for 4. The Panthers 1 for 3. The mid-ice trap in which an opponent is bored to death also works for Florida as just 33 shots are taken in this game. The Flyers desperately trying to overcome first a 1-goal, then a 2-goal deficit in the third. Managed just 5 shots during the stanza. Unbelievable. Van Beesbrook and company say they're still looking for respect.
We have a lot to prove. We really do. We came in here, wanted to stick to our game plan. Doug McLean laid out a pretty basic game plan for us, and it worked. When our defense get it, we're not making any foolish plays with it, and I thought we were flawless tonight back there. It's kind of hard to beat up Eric Lindros. He's such a big monster out there, so we figured we'd try to play in-your-face type hockey and see what happens, and you never know. Game one's always an important game, and we came and got the job done.
The Bees are with our Al Morganti after this big surprise. Back to the power play stuff, or plower pay, or more correctly, this lack of plower pay. Flyers now gimping along at 5% conversion against the Panthers this year, 20% against the rest of the league. Moral, not good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The New York City Marathon is still 5 months away, but the Yankees have started early. On Tuesday, the Yanks needed 4 hours and 21 minutes to beat the Orioles. And then last night, New York endured a 5.5-hour marathon to beat the O's once again. Tonight, the Yankees punched the time clock at 7:35 Eastern for their series opener with Chicago. To the Bronx we go, and Alex Fernandez retired the first 5 batters he faced, and then he faced number 6. It's 1-0 Yankees, bottom of the second. We move to further action because the highlights are better. Bottom of the fourth, it's Paul O'Neill. The liner, Frank Thomas, Paul, 0 for his last 9. Bottom 5 tied at 1. Ruben at first, and it's Jim Leyritz at the plate. Fernandez serves up his second go for ball of the night. 3-1 Yankees. Back to O'Neill, bottom of the 6th, trying to break the 0 for 9 slump. Gone. In a hurry. 4-1 Yanks. Fans, my brother on hand, I said signal me and we'll try to get you into the highlights. Until the bottom of the 7th, Ruben goes off the fair pole. 4th Yankee home run of the night. Sierra's second of the game, 5-1 Yanks. David Cohn in control as he faces the former Yank, Danny Tartable. And it's the win. Cohn at 8 Ks, goes the way. First Yankee complete game of the season. 5-1 your final after the 2 marathon games. This one lasted 2 hours and 11 minutes. The White Sox have lost 3 in a row. David Cohn's performance, just what the bullpen ordered. In the 2 previous marathon games, Joe Torre called on 12 pitchers. Tonight, he needed just 1. Cohn ends with a 5-hitter. More baseball and better pronunciations later on in the show.
In fact, right now, more mad cowhide disease. The Texas Rangers had scored 174 runs, second in the American League. The Detroit Tigers had a team ERA of 7.22. As Captain Picard would say, engage. At Tiger Stadium, no less, John Matlack, the pitching coach, thinking of adding himself to the roster. But Felipe Lira, during the news portion, gets Warren Newsom frozen pizza. Then Dean Palmer, frozen pizza. And then Rusty Guerrier, more like Hal Greer, strikes out the side. They would retire his number in between innings. Bottom of the 2nd, no score, 2 men on. John Flaherty, it's deep, and I don't think it's playable. What a shock, a home run. 3-0 Tigers. Give that fan a contract. Texas keeping it close. Eddie Williams, the shot. Full extension, Dean Palmer. He doesn't get him, and Kevin Elster does. What a throw. What has gotten into Kevin Elster? It's a cloning. There's got to be cloning involved in this. Tigers came into the game with only 2 saves. Tied for the fewest in the game, Brian Williams. During the cellular portion of the game, gets Warren Newsom looking again. Maybe just got too good to the hitters. Williams' 2nd save of the season. Lira breaks the Tigers' 4-game losing streak and brings them their 2nd victory in their last 14 games. That save by Williams is Detroit's first since April 16th.
Unbridled's song may be the favorite with the betting public on Saturday, but the Colt is facing some long odds in his run for the Roses. The son of the 1990 Derby winner, Unbridled, is battling history and an injury. It's been 17 years since the favorite has won at Churchill Downs. As for the injury, Unbridled Song walked today after running on Wednesday. The horse is suffering from a sore left front heel, an injury suffered in the Wood Memorial. Unbridled Song has been fitted with special shoes all week. His trainer is happy with the progress.
Well, he walked over an hour this morning. He didn't take a bad step. And we're as encouraged as we were yesterday after his work. And, to work as fast as he did and to come back well, I mean, that gave us confidence that running him wouldn't do any further damage. I think he's telling us in his training to run him. And if he continues to tell us that in the next 48 hours, then we're going to lead him over there post 20 or not.
The last favorite to win the Derby, spectacular bid in 1979. In fact, following a little research, we found only 4 of the last 16 faves have even finished in the money. Only 2 of the 4 did so in the 90s. More Derby coverage later on in this hour of fun.
Ooh, and how long have you thought the horse was talking to, Mr. Ryerson? Coming up, if you normally snooze out when it's time for the Olympics news, don't. Would you believe Shaq, Akeem, and the Admiral all in the lineup, all at the same time? Also still ahead of us tonight, the Blackhawks and Avalanche say hello in game 1 of their series. And shh, the best rookie in baseball at the moment played tonight. He's not only a pitcher, he's a Phillies pitcher. That's next.
For companies of every size, everywhere, every day.
During the opening round of the NHL playoffs, the Avalanche neutralized the fastest team in the conference and ousting the Canucks in 6 games. Tonight, Colorado turned their attention to the Blackhawks, arguably the most physical squad in the conference. After sweeping the Flames in 4, Chicago had been idle for the past 9 days. To Colorado we go. The Blackhawks pressuring Patrick Roy early, save after save after save, until Enrique Ciccone beats him 1-0 Chicago. Colorado comes back. Ed Belfour can't clear the puck. Valerie Kaminsky, Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux scoring playoffs. We've seen this before. We're tied at 1. Moments later, it's Joe Sakic. And yes, all together now. It's the Sakic hotline. 8th goal of the playoffs for Sakic. 2-1 Colorado after 2 periods. 2-2 right now. 3rd period action. We'll continue to sneak peeks at this one. Claude Lemieux, his 3rd goal of the playoffs. The Blackhawks' first game since April 23rd. Showing a little rust, but hanging with the Lanch at home.
As much as we in the media think we can get things done, facts are we're basically, to quote the Bard, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. However, every once in a while, authorities in Sydney, Australia have announced that 3 miles of unsightly overhead power lines will be buried underground in time for the Olympics of 2000. Why? Because NBC Sports president Dick Ebersol said they were the city's only blemish. Ebersol's word carries weight. And of course, so do the $715 million his company is paying for the U.S. broadcast rights to the games. Now with more from the 5-ring circus, including the triple towers of the U.S. basketball dream team, here's Randy Harvey at Olympic Notes.
When you coach the dream team, who do you put in the starting lineup? Lenny Wilkens is too smart to be trapped by that question while his Atlanta Hawks are still in the playoffs. Last week, he said that he might have as many as 3 starting lineups. In the most intriguing of them, he said that he might put the triplet towers of Akeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Shaquille O'Neal on the floor at the same time. Boxer Antonio Tarver has a rocky story. After he was rejected for football and basketball scholarships out of high school in Orlando, he didn't know what to do with the rest of his life. That changed when he saw the 1988 Summer Olympics on television. One of his sparring partners from when he boxed as a youngster, Roy Jones Jr., won a silver medal. He can do it, why can't I, Tarver asked himself. Now the light heavyweight is the United States' best hope for a boxing gold medal. Who should call him last week? Rocky himself. Sylvester Stallone invited him to dinner at his Planet Hollywood in Orlando. The next thing you know, Tarver might be in a movie. That's what happened with 2 other young fighters Stallone took under his wing, Lee Canalito, Tommy Morrison. What's up with Nancy Reno? After she and Holly McPeak became the #1 women's beach volleyball team last year, Reno split to play with Carolyn Kirby. Reno and McPeak got back together again this year and earned the United States automatic berth in the Olympics. But now, Reno's women's volleyball team arrived in Moscow last week. They expected a 2-match series to begin 4 days later. No, the Russians told them it's a 3-match series and it begins tomorrow. The Americans overcame their jet lag and won anyway, then split the next 2. In Los Angeles, I'm Randy Harvey, ESPN.
Olympic Notes is brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car.
Still to be served in the big show, back to the pastime for Jim Abbott. And the Hot Angels, Dwayne Lucas may have the best starting five in Kentucky since the Wildcats won the title.
And a rain delay in Miami at 19 minutes past 11 Eastern time in the bottom of the ninth, where the Phillies' Mike Grace, the youngster who has already won 4 games in his first month in the major leagues, is, if this game is ever resumed, a few outs away from his 5th win after an 8-strikeout, 8-inning performance against the Florida Marlins. As soon as it is over, we will show you the highlights. Right now, the Phillies pitchers are playing hacky sack in the damp bullpen. Dan?
Last season, 2 players who did not want to be identified suggested to me that Jim Abbott was still in the majors only because he was still a curiosity with the fans. Abbott, who was born without a right hand, has lost 4 more games than he's won in his major league career. Earlier today, Abbott met the A's in Oakland, eyeing his first win since last September. He certainly helped out his own cause. Jason Giambi, the comebacker. Abbott makes the great fielding play. The former high school quarterback gets his man. Top of the 4th, Doug Johns against J.T. Snow. The base knock, Tim Salmon will score from second. And the Angels, who played great baseball lately, are up 1-0. Bottom of the 5th, Abbott facing Mike Bordick. Still 1-0. Bordick waits on the breaking ball, sneaks it past Rex Hudler. Phil Plantier's scores were tied at 1. Top of the 8th, tied at 1. Johns against Hudler. Johns against Hudler. Johns against Hudler. Angels go up 2-1. Hudler's 4th home run of the year. And the Angels, behind Jim Abbott, go on to win it by the final of 3-1. The 2nd straight game Hudler has homered. California's won 10 of its last 14. Indians in Seattle for their first meeting with the Mariners since Game 6 of last season's ALCS. The Mariners called Sportscenter to say Randy Johnson has nerve irritation in his lower back. He's been scratched from his next start. He will be reevaluated in 2 days. Albert Bell has hit his 11th home run of the season in this one.
In college hoops, Charlie Coles is back at a helm, promoted today from his assistant's role at Miami of Ohio to replace Herb Sendek, who had moved up to NC State. Coles not only worked at the school the last 2 years, but he played there and is in the Miami Hall of Fame. He also coached Central Michigan for 6 years, during which time he helped groom Dan Marley for the pros. Other Dan?
Dwayne Lucas is running a daycare center in Louisville this weekend. He's watching over 5 3-year-olds, but he wanted to bring 9 3-year-olds to Churchill Downs. Steve Cyphers has more on Dwayne's world, a trainer who's playing the field in this year's Kentucky Derby.
It's never been done before. Never in the previous 121 runnings of the Kentucky Derby has a trainer saddled 5 horses for the race. Enter Dwayne Lucas. In this, his 16th consecutive year at the Derby, he will take 5 horses to the track at Churchill Downs.
At this point, I'm more comfortable than I have been some other years.
He has the experience. Last year, 3 horses were in his barn in Kentucky, and one of them, Thunder Gulch, won. Another, Timber Country, ran 3rd. In fact, Lucas-trained colts have won the last 5 Triple Crown races, and that hadn't been done before either. Saturday, he'll look to extend that streak to 6.
It's good to have the depth we've got, obviously. I mean, championships are won with depth in any sport, but we've got this thing, you know, in pretty good shape, in that these horses don't compromise each other's chances. They've got a little blend of everything, so it should work out pretty good.
That is, if things go according to plan. And if there's one thing Lucas always has, it's a plan. Already he's held what he calls a locker room session with his help, and he'll meet with them again to go over the race day routine, because getting just 1 horse from the barn to the paddock on Derby Day can be trying enough.
We're a detail outfit. We'll take 29 or 28 people over there for 5 horses, and everybody will have a job, and he'll damn sure know what it is.
With 5 horses in the starting gate Saturday, win or lose, Lucas will make history. It's never been done before, which isn't to say it won't happen again.
I would never put a limitation on it. Maybe next year we'll have 1, and next year we'll have 9. Who knows?
With me now, analyst Hank Goldberg. And Hank, how monumental is this task of Lucas?
It's going to be tough for him to saddle all 5 as he says he's going to do, because you have to be pretty quick to jump from one to the other.
Victory speech, honor and glory, grindstone, Prince of Thieves, editor's note. Rate him.
Well, starting with Victory Speech, he's been an also-ran all spring. I don't see any change in that. Michael Tabor, the owner of him, and Honor and Glory, didn't want to bring Honor and Glory here. Lucas talked him into it. He'll be the speedball. Prince of Thieves, the one Lucas seems to prefer, has had bad luck in his last 3 outings, but he's coming up to this race great. And Editor's Note is going to have a terrific trip. He's been fighting a speed bias in Florida and in Keeneland, this track should be very good for him. He's the one I like, and if you buy him, you get Grindstone with Jerry Bailey and Gary Stevens riding, editor's note, Stevens and Bailey for the price of one.
That's a good deal?
Count me in.
All right, we'll have more on his pick on Friday. That's it from Churchill Downs. Now back to SportsCenter.
Steve and Hank, thank you. Lucas is attempting to win his 6th consecutive Triple Crown race, a streak that dates back to the '94 Preakness. In other years, when Lucas has entered as many as 3 horses, he has won only once, Thunder Gulch, last year.
Coming up, who was the most improved player in the NBA this year? We'll not only confirm what you can probably conclude from the picture behind me, but the story will be read by one of the guys who voted for him. Also on the rundown from SportsCenter tonight, it's also Hockey Award time. Mario gets nominated for one he's already won. We'll run down all the finalists and more baseball. The Blue Jays didn't even play today, and 2 of their guys hit homers.
What's the right grip feel like? Should you use the same club on every chip shot? The answers are in Golf Digest. No matter how well you play, you'll find tips and advice that will dramatically improve your game. Guaranteed. Want to know where the slot is at the top of your backswing? Or if you're good enough to carry a 4-iron, subscribe to Golf Digest. 12 issues are only $19.77. You'll also get our video. Hit it longer and straighter, free.
Call 800-228-1500. That's 800-228-1500.
The Wall Street Journal keeps you on the cutting edge with news and insights that can affect you personally and professionally. Subscribe now and have the Journal delivered to your home or office. Now, with your paid 10-week subscription, you'll also receive our gift of 2 weeks free. That's 12 weeks of the Journal for just 65 cents a day. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call now, 800-443-7400. That's 800-443-7400 for the Wall Street Journal.
How do you keep track of everything that happens in the world of motor racing? You drive with us. RPM tonight, the ultimate wrap-up of the day that was in the world of motor racing. Monday through Friday at 7 and Sunday at 8, only on ESPN2.
McDonald's, proud sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team.
In second-round action at the BMW Open, Boris Becker, the tourney's #2 seed, was amongst the advancers. Top seed Thomas Muster, we know him as Mr. Moo, moved to the 3rd round with a win on Wednesday.
Nearly 10 years ago, the Milwaukee Brewers saw Charlie O'Brien hit 15 homers in just 92 games for their AA farm club, and they thought, aha, we have someone here. What they had was a guy who had hit only 8 homers for them over parts of 4 seasons. O'Brien's with Toronto now. The Brewers faced him today and probably noted in passing that he'd already hit 3 of them this year. Matinee at Skydome. Charlie O'Brien, or that's 4. 2-run shot off Scott Carl erases a 3-1 Toronto deficit in the 5th. We're tied at 3. Then in the 6th, Jose Valentin for the Brewers. Steepen, I don't think, is playable. Off Eric Hansen, 4-3 Brewers. Still in the 6th, tied at 4. Here's a long single. A single? We showed a single? RBI single scoring Juan Samuel, mind you, 5-4 Toronto. In the 7th and 6-5, Jays Carlos Delgado. He hit the ball, not really that hard at all. Off Marshall Bose, Toronto wins 7-5. Marshall Bose was a postman, I believe, somewhere in rural Wisconsin earlier this season, and he now pitches. It's replacement ball is what it is. Toronto has 36 dingers in its last 20. 4 homers for O'Brien this year, 3 of them 2-run jobs that have tied games or put the Jays ahead. I never go up expecting to hit them out, he said after career dinger number 37. I'm just a hacker.
The PGA Tour will call Texas home for the next 3 weeks, with the first stop being the welcome mat of the Houston Open. The defending champ is Payne Stewart, who overcame a 7-stroke deficit in the final round to earn his first title since the 1991 U.S. Open. all to that all-important leaderboard. Stewart, by the way, 7 strokes off the pace. Tommy Tolles and Mike Springer share the first-round lead. Lee Jansen heads up a group tied for 3rd. Jeff Maggart, who attended Texas A&M, makes his home at the Woodlands course. The women in Daytona for the Sprint Championship, Val Skinner sits atop the leaderboard, but 10 players are within 2 strokes. Christy Kerr, a high school senior from Miami, is in a group at 70.
Whoever wins hockey's Most Valuable Player Award will be a repeat recipient. Mario Lemieux, 69 goals, 161 points, his 5th scoring title, leading the nominations announced today for the Dr. David A. Hart Memorial Trophy. He already won it in 88 and 93. Only 6 players have won 3 or more. Mark Messier, also a past 2-time recipient, is in the same boat. And Eric Lindros, last year's winner, nominated anew. Obviously, that was a lock after he won the ESPY. The Norris Trophy for Best Defenseman, with a C, with a 30. Award.
The biggest player in the NBA is also its most improved. Earlier today, George Murasan became the 4th Bullet in the past 7 years to win the honor. The 25-year-old from Romania received the award in a ceremony on Capitol Hill. Murasan received 50 of a possible 113 votes from the nationwide panel of writers and talented broadcasters. The Mavericks' George McLeod was 2nd. The 7'7" Murasan set career highs in shooting percentage, points, rebounds, block shots, assists, and steals. The Wonder Years, he averaged 14.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, led the league in shooting percentage. The other Bullets to win this award this decade, Purvis Ellison, Harvey Grant, and Don McLean.
Coming up on the big show, how the Olympics could unleash a deadly horse epidemic in this country. And even more to recommend international sports for players and fans alike. Bobby Knight looks like a piker compared to this.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me.
Your turn, man. When you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good.
I think she digs you.
Really?
No. Beyond the sea, somewhere.
The cruising spirit lives. Royal Star by Yamaha.
Abner Doubleday was a general in my army. I'd heard he was inventing this new sport, baseball. But McClellan was being routed by Lee, and Sherman, he never met a building he didn't want to burn. I regretted not being more involved. You know, we might have prevented that designated hitter ruling and those ridiculous uniforms the White Sox wore in the 70s.
Yeah, they were ugly. It's okay, big guy. Just let it out, all right?
Welcome back to SportsCenter. Darryl Strawberry will become a Saint on Friday, a St. Paul Saint. Straw will be earning $2,000 a month playing in the Northern League. a Double-A caliber league with no major league affiliations. Strawberry's agent said this wasn't about money or publicity stunt. It's about Darryl getting back to the majors. The 34-year-old slugger reportedly owes $300,000 in child support. 2 weeks ago, the Saints signed pitcher Jack Morris.
And just when you thought American sports had about hit rock bottom, this reminder that there's always something worse somewhere else. The South American Basketball Championships wound up in Sao Paulo on Tuesday, and suddenly everybody was Bobby Knight and or Scottie Pippen. The Olympia team of Argentina beats Corinthians of Brazil in Brazil 101-100 in overtime on a three-pointer. And while the Olympia players celebrate, check it out, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, we've got a furniture auction. Oh, the humanity. The hometown Sao Paulo fans, upset at the loss, are tossing lawn chairs at the Argentine team, and it only takes a few seconds before the players themselves get back in the international spirit of sports by tossing them back. And finally, unfortunately, somebody bent the trophy in the process. Punishments. NBA Vice President Rod Thorne today announced that the nations of Argentina and Brazil have been suspended.
Still to come on the big show, they have been defying logic and explanation for years now, but this year more than ever, we'll explore the method behind the financial madness in Montreal. Also on the show, we pay tribute to our peak performers as we turn on the power. And will the Olympic Games put the horse industry in peril? We'll have that story later in SportsCenter.
If you lose, you have no one to blame but me.
He runs the 100 in 14.4. He long jumps 7.2.5. And he high jumps. Well, sort of. But wow, you should see his Powerade cap. It won him the chance to train at a U.S. Olympic Training Center, and the right cap could get you here too. Odds of scoring are 1 in 4 with discounts on athletic gear from Champ Sports, discounts on subscriptions to Sports Illustrated, and free Powerade. Hey, that could be you.
Peak Performers is brought to you by Coors Light. Grab a silver bullet and let the mountain come to you. Coors Light. Tap the Rockies.
Go on ahead, blame it on the poor pitching, the juiced ball, the smaller strike zone, or the cozy ballparks, but Major League Baseball is on a record pace for home runs. Tonight, we pay tribute to those who turned on the power this past week, and they are our peak performers.
Goodbye. He hits it a mile.
Might be on the roof. Might be on the roof.
Oh, it is on the roof. Oh, does he get the wood on the ball or not?
This one hit deep to left. Back is Owens to the warning track. To the wall. It is gone.
They have enough hitters.
Uh-oh. That's hit deep. Back towards the wall. It's gone. Jeff King. He becomes the third major leaguer to hit 2 in the same innings. Twice.
This one is hit to deep right. A towering shot, and it is gone.
What hasn't happened? No grand slam yet.
Fly ball, left field, deep, gone! You called it, grand slam, Tino Martinez.
And coming up on the big show, quite a big show, the Expos are putting on, considering they were thought to be as past tense as Expo 67, as Darren Fletcher said, we are in fuego.
The Silver Bullet is shipped cold to tap the cool taste of the Rockies.
Tap the Rockies, Coors Light.
Well, if my check is $100, I get back 20. If my check is $300, I get back 60. If it's $600, I get back $120.
Introducing a special invitation from Dining a la Carte. A 2-month trial membership for free.
Dining a la carte is earning extra money.
Just for eating out.
Dining a la Carte works with your credit cards. There are no embarrassing coupons and no restaurant blackout periods.
I love the amount of money that I've saved with Dining a la Carte. I've saved well over $1,000.
Just dine at participating restaurants. In about 30 days, you'll receive a rebate check that equals 20% of your total restaurant charges, including tax and tips.
Dining a la carte is a good thing for people who like to go out for dinners and like to save money.
And here's your special invitation. Call right now and get a 2-month trial membership for free.
It's the greatest day in thoroughbred racing. Join ESPN and ESPN2 at Churchill Downs as we bring you everything leading up to the big event. Coverage begins on ESPN2 at noon with continuous features on the Derby, past and present and future. Then at 2 on ESPN, Derby analysis and features on the Run for the Roses. Today at the races at noon on ESPN2. The Derby special at 2 on ESPN. Saturday.
What are you doing Sunday night?
We're bringing you the Reds against the Giants. Joe and John
Provide all the pageantry. Starting at 8 Eastern, it's the Sunday night baseball game of the week.
We're here. 2 years ago, they thought J.R. Phillips could replace Will Clark. Now they think he can replace John Zuber. Phillips with 100 strikeouts and 310 career big league at-bats dealt by the Giants to Philadelphia for cash and a player to be named today. He'll likely replace young first baseman Zuber on their roster, and he now becomes Phillips of the Philadelphia Phillies. Fulfilling? Phil's at Florida without Phillips, who reports tomorrow, but they brought Mike Grace with him, and this is the Cy Young Award winner, MVP, and Rookie of the Year all in one. Jeff Conine, frozen pizza. No score after 4. Top 6, still no score against Kevin Brown. Jim Eisenreich, here's a ground ball. Kilvio Veras, full extension, no play. Mark Whitten scores, and 1-0 Phillies. Bottom of the 6th, still 1-0 Phillies. Runners at the corner with Grace facing Conine again. See ya. 2 men out. After Sheffield is intentionally walked to load the bases. This kid, who was great in Double-A last year, does the job against Terry Pendleton to end the inning. 8 strikeouts for Grace. Then in the 9th inning, it rained. Bottom of the 9th, 2-0 Phillies. Man on board, and here's the 5-4-3 double play. I can't compete with the real Harry on that. Phillies win 2-0. Phillies win 2-0. Ricky Batalico from the Hartford Twilight League leads the majors with 10 saves and explains why they traded Heathcliff Slocum and Mike Grace. 5-0 in his first month in the major leagues. One of only 3 5-game winners in the National League. In 13 months, they've lost or traded away Marquise Grissom, Ken Hill, John Wetland, and Larry Walker. Their top hitting prospect, Cliff Floyd, broke his wrist so badly he's just now getting back near his stride. Their second best hitting prospect, Rondell White, is on the disabled list with internal injuries. They are the Montreal Expos, and they're tied for the best record in the National League. Carl Ravitch endeavors to explain the apparent anomaly.
Coming into spring training, I thought we were going to be pretty weak.
Coming off a year in which the Expos hit .259 and finished 10 games out of a wild card spot, 96 looked like it could be a long season in Montreal.
We're going to win 18 games sometime this year. I don't think everybody expected it to be at the end of April.
I have witnessed in 1 month some of the most intense moments of my baseball career with this ball club that we have. And when a team gets like that, you got to leave them alone. You just don't mess with intensity.
The team that has the best record in the National League over the last 10 seasons and third best overall is back among the leaders with an unlikely cast of characters.
Lansing is one of the best in the trade, and also Segui. Bruce Atlantic is a kid that I didn't know very well until I saw him last summer. I knew he was going to be something special.
Those 3 each hit more than 110 points higher than their career averages in April. And Henry Rodriguez, at best a 4th outfielder in the Dodgers' plans, hit 9 home runs and knocked in 27 for the Expos in April in a starting role.
Everybody wants to play. I mean, if you look around this team, we're not all-stars. We're not making that much money. That's why I think this team's playing hard, because we're hungry and we wanted to do it well.
We play the game the way it's supposed to be played. In our eyes, I mean, you don't leave anything out there. Look at Rondell, going to run through the wall for you.
Got some juice. Rondell White, got it!
Hopefully everybody realizes what we have, the front office realizes what we have, and we're performing well on the field. And if we stick together, you know, let's see what happens for a full year without trying to get rid of guys.
In the 90s, the Expos have lost 8 starting position players, including 6 All-Stars, 2 All-Star starters, and an All-Star closer in cost-cutting moves. Yet despite all the changes, the one constant is manager Felipe Alou, who was signed through 1997.
He's the backbone. I mean, he's everything to this club. He gets us out there. I mean, he doesn't have to say anything. We're out there hustling and bustling and just trying to get things done. He's just the influence that it's really tough to explain.
Everybody asks, you know, how is it to play for him? And the only thing you can say is it's great.
You just can't say enough good things about Felipe. As a manager, he's just, in my opinion, probably the best in baseball.
Here's how the Expos, idle tonight, stack up against 3 of the other SWAT teams. They're leading the National League in hitting, 2nd in the majors in runs, 5th in the majors in homers, and they remain tied with the Padres for the best record in the NL, 18-10.
When SportsCenter returns, a story that could have a possible fatal impact on as many as 1 in every 5 horses in this country.
You've got the honors.
Maybe you'll realize it when you tee off against a background of shining resorts.
Good shot.
Or when you see dolphins in the desert.
You could only happen here.
Maybe you'll know it when the afternoon sun, from high in an azure sky, soaks relaxation into every pore of your body.
This is the place.
You'll know, because your state of mind will tell you.
Yeah.
You're in a place unlike any other.
Send your package in 2 days with FedEx, and people are impressed. Cost, about $12.
Send your package in 2 days with UPS, and people are impressed. Cost, about $6.
Send your package in 2 to 3 days with priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service, and people are impressed. Cost exactly $3.
So, 12, 6, 3, what's your priority? Priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
The thing that impresses me the most is his attitude towards competition. One of the things that Mike has said to me that his preference would be, especially in the playoffs, to be playing the 7th game in the finals, going into overtime with a 0-0 score. Which is, I think, the last situation I would like to be in.
This promotional announcement, our Derby plate tomorrow at 7 a.m. on ESPN2. It's breakfast at Churchill Downs. We don't know what it is, but it tastes like chicken. 3:30 p.m. It's 2-day at the Kentucky Oaks. Get it 2-day. 5 p.m. on ESPN, the Kentucky Oaks itself, also known as the Derby for 3-year-old fillies. 6 p.m. up close, Dwayne Lucas joining Chris. And finally at 11 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2, it's the Kentucky Derby, Night of the Stars, hosted by Chris Lincoln, Ali Sheedy, and Ali Sheba.
Politics are supposed to be set aside for the good of competition when the Olympic Games take center stage, but this year's games in Atlanta have been tarnished by a decision that could threaten one of the most prestigious and financially lucrative industries in America, the horse business. As Mark Malone reports, some of the world's greatest performers carry in their systems a parasitic blood disease that could be fatal for a significant percentage of this country's horses.
My worst fear would be that one horse would die. To get a horse sick from a disease that he has no control over because of an Olympics or some government regulations, especially when there are laws on the books concerning this, it's kind of devastating.
And this tiny bug could unleash the devastation. The American dog tick, for in its belly, it can harbor a disease that could wipe out 20% or 1.6 million horses in this country. And that disease has just been invited to America. The disease is called pyroplasmosis, and while the Centennial Olympics promises to bring the world's best equine Olympians in show jumping and dressage to our shores, it will also bring with it a deadly parasitic horse disease to Georgia. Ticks act as a vector for the disease, meaning they can spread it from horse to horse. Pyroplasmosis is endemic throughout much of the world, where over the years horses have built up an immunity to the disease. Not so for American horses, because the disease is virtually unknown here. Because the American horses have no immunity against this disease, federal laws were enacted that expressly forbid horses that tested pyropositive from being allowed entry into this country. But that law was waived when it was found that at least 14 of the European horses coming here to compete carried with them the disease.
So when everybody just thought that we had a law, we have to abide by it, so everybody else would have to abide by it. And then most recently we were told that that wasn't the case.
We understand that the Olympics will bring a pretty sizable economic impact to the South, but we feel that the potential economic impact that it can, that if this disease is introduced into the United States, will have a tremendous economic impact after all these horses have left and are gone.
Piroplasmosis and the fear of its potential deadly impact isn't just confined to the International Horse Park and the state of Georgia. Texas, Kentucky, and Louisiana have all expressed concern, as well as the state of Maryland, where here the horse industry generates $1.6 billion annually.
From what we've been told about the rate of potential infection of the horses is about 20% of the horses could be infected with this to the point of it being a lethal disease. And if you take 20% of 1.6 billion, then you're looking at something over $300 million a year in economic impact. As you're probably aware, they had granted waivers before, notably in California, but it's in an area where they do not have a tick problem. So given it's in Georgia, I was actually shocked that they would grant a waiver.
I've attended meetings at which the veterinarians from almost all of the 50 states were in attendance. It's nearly a unanimous opinion that that this waiver should not have been granted.
Opponents unanimously agree that the decision to grant a waiver was not based on science, but on politics. And they say that much of that political pressure can be traced right here to the nation's capital.
Well, of course it was a political decision. And in my view, it was the wrong political decision. If the president was trying to court the voters of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, this was certainly not the right political decision to make.
There's no question. I mean, we all have to be honest with ourselves and admit that there was a political pressure, and it's obviously international politics.
It was Georgia's Commissioner of Agriculture, Tommy Irvin, who, with the blessing of the USDA, ultimately made the decision to grant the waiver. He admits to having attended a personal 45-minute meeting in President Clinton's limousine, where he says the president asked him to grant the waiver. He's also told of hearing the same request from U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Dan Glickman, and even the King of Spain. As a self-described career politician, Irvin says he knew he'd have to take a different approach if he wanted to get the Piro-positive horses into Georgia.
If I'd had to approach it from the medical area, I never could have won the battle. But I think once I was able to go in, as we used to say politically, in the back door.
That backdoor approach, Irvin says, led him away from consulting with veterinarians. Instead, he sought the advice of entomologists. With their help, he developed a 20-point plan that he believes, along with constructing a specially designed quarantine area, will keep the entire Georgia International Horse Park tick-free.
Cannot survive in this barn, in the arena, in the stands, in the parking lots, are certainly not within the quarantine station itself.
I don't imagine that it would be very easy to keep it 100% tick-free. Ticks are moving around all the time, the rodents are moving around all the time, and then when you throw in people and their pets, there are just so many variables, it would be very hard to be certain that there wasn't a tick in that area at any time.
In any biological science, it's difficult to say that with 100% assurance that anything is going to happen.
I think totally controlling the tick population is approaching the impossible.
The organization that governs horse shows, the American Horse Shows Association, agrees. And they also lobbied against granting the waiver. Yet some horse show competitors don't share that concern.
I know that they have taken every step to ensure that all of the horses will be in safe surroundings at the Olympic Games. I don't have any problem with taking my horse down there.
I really am not too terribly concerned, especially knowing the precautions that we're going to be under as we go down to Georgia for the Olympics.
Let's look at it from this standpoint. We're going to spray, and we're going to spray again, and we're going to spray again. We're going to excessively overdo precautionary measures that we think are necessary. And then I think the thing that you really need to consider, that vector's got to get on that horse. It's got to stay on that horse a minimum of 4 hours before it could draw enough blood to be a carrier.
Yet number 7 of Irvin's 20-point plan calls for the horses to be checked at approximately 8-hour intervals during each day for ticks. And there are other areas where it seems the ticks could defeat Irvin's plan.
Will the riders, as well as the handlers and the volunteers, also go through a process by which they're inspected and or deloused or dusted or whatever that might be?
Well, you raised the issue I hadn't heard brought up. We may end up with an international plan on the movement of horses. I think our plan may be established as a plan that will be used in the future for moving the horses all over at least North America.
I disagree totally. I don't think this ought to be the beginning of a trend. I think it ought to be an aberration, a one-time exception that is never repeated again.
The worst fear is, in fact, that the industry would get infected, and we know that it can't be eradicated very easily, if at all. That would certainly be the worst fear. Right now, we're operating on faith that won't happen.
I want to make it clear to the Secretary of Agriculture and to President Clinton, we hold them personally responsible for this. They better get serious about enforcing these guidelines and not run the risk of destroying one of America's greatest industries.
3 sources with intimate knowledge of the Olympic Equestrian Center in Georgia tell SportsCenter that as of Wednesday, the quarantine site, perhaps the most important part of the effort to prevent an outbreak, remains undeveloped. With no construction underway, the Olympics begin in 78 days. We still have 6 minutes left to our working day. Enough time to check in on how Sean and the boys are doing against Sacramento. This is SportsCenter.
They say, surround yourself with Earth's forms and you'll find tranquility. In the presence of power, you'll achieve peace of mind. Remove yourself from chaos and you'll experience rejuvenation. Hence, our newest edition, Wide Open Spaces. Introducing the longer, roomier Jaguar Vanden Plas.
Now that Sea-Doo has become the best-selling boat in the world, we felt it was time to acknowledge those who inspired us. Okay, boys, take a bow.
There's only one yard sale big enough for America's backyard. It's America's largest yard sale at Sears, with great savings on all mowers, all tractors, and just about everything for your yard. It's America's largest yard sale at Sears.
He's Barry Larkin, the first MVP shortstop in the NL in 33 years. He's Barry Bonds, 3-time MVP and 5-time All-Star. The Reds battle the Giants, the Sunday night game of the week, Sunday at 8 on ESPN.
Seattle looking to advance to the second round for the first time since 1993. They lead the Kings by 2 at halftime. Full highlights coming up at 2:30 Eastern on the next SportsCenter, as well as highlights of the Lakers in Houston. And it looks like the Rockets are going to surprise yet another team, 95-89. Houston leading the series 2-1. Rockets on the verge of their first playoff series win over LA since the '86 Western Conference Finals.
Thrills, chills, and excitement in the NHL at Denver. 2-1 Colorado with 18 minutes to go in the third period. And Murray Craven puts the biscuit in the basket. It's a power play goal, 2-2 game. And then the Lanch trying to win this one in regulation. They're up a man, less than 7 minutes to go. Sandis Uzelinch stoned by Belfour. Claude Lemieux stoned by Belfour. It's 2-2. They're just facing off for overtime in a game that's being carried live on ESPN2, live from Denver. Coming up, the producer said Keith teased the chicken. Ted Giannoulis loses a lawsuit. That's next. This is SportsCenter.
With Sierra's strength and exceptional power, life's daily obstacles are easily handled. But with Sierra's third door, you'll have one less hurdle to overcome. Sierra by GMC, putting you comfortably in command.
Today, I'm going to meetings in Paris, Prague, and Toledo without leaving my chair. The world is evolving and connecting at the same time. You don't even need an office. If you can think it, you can go do it. In absolute full digital color. There are more ideas inside of Kinko's today than in any office space in America. Sometimes they go just to be with people.
Hi, Howard.
Every day, over 200,000 businesses use Kinko's, the new way to office.
I'd like to demonstrate the PGA golf clap. This is how low you should go, and this is how loud it can be. At a senior event, though, you can go this loud because they're getting a little bit older and their hearing isn't as good.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car.
Sneak another peek at the Indians and M's. Bottom of the 7th, Oral Hershiser is cruising, pitching as I speak right now. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 5 Ks. Indians going for their 4th straight win. Randy Johnson will miss his next start.
Finally, a Chicago jury has awarded a former Bulls cheerleader $317,000 in damages. She had sued Ted Giannoulis, the chicken, because at this 1991 Bulls game he had grabbed her, as you see here, forced her to dance with him against her will, and then rolled her on the floor, injuring her elbow and jaw. He says the decision will never catch up in public. It'll be overturned. And our moral here is never dance with your chicken out in public.
Stage 2 of the Tour de Pont is next on ESPN, followed by Major League Soccer. It's Columbus at Kansas City. That would be the Crew and the Wiz. I'm Dan Patrick.
I'm Keith Olbermann. The next Sports Center is at 2:30 Eastern Time. Brett Haber co-hosts the Craig Kilborn Farewell Tour. Thanks for being with us. Good night.